Sheila, is there any way that you'd like me to introduce this episode?
Anyway, it's at 6:30 every Thursday now.
No, just whatever you think.
All right, I'll be as kind as I can, and
Of
I
course.
think all right. Well, what episode is it? 121?
121. Wow.
Wow, I'm getting good.
And Sheila was on 111.
Wow, so
Okay.
that's like 2 months ago. I was
10
explaining.
episodes. Yeah.
Yeah.
She sends me this.
Hello, welcome back to the Friends of Zeus podcast. This is episode 121. So this is how do I put it? It's going to be an interesting episode. We're having Sheila on, and Sheila was on episode 111. The discussion was it was right after our fentanyl episode, and I think that's how we met, right, Sheila?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I guess you liked the episode, and we connected and we got along, and you came on and told your story about being clean for 43 years. Am I correct?
No, 6 years clean. I was in my addiction 43 years.
Oh, okay. 6 years clean and in the addiction for 43 years. And unfortunately, and I don't even know what happened, so I think that's going to be a big part of the episode, but our friend Sheila had a lapse in that cleanliness,
Recovering.
and recovery. And I was talking to her, and I did my best to make sure that she wanted to do this, and I think it's a great idea. I think as far as catharsis goes, this is about the best you can get. And Sheila and I kind of tried to lean her away from it because I don't want to cause you pain. And she still felt like she wanted to talk about this. And I think personally, it's a great idea. I think there's a lot of people that are in addiction that they never hear the story of the person that relapsed and what caused it and what their journey is. And I think it's a great idea, and I want to help Sheila most of all. She was great on the show. She loves the show. She's a good person, and I want to help her where I can. So today we're going to talk about her relapse and where she's at now, and hopefully give her some support and help her through this process. That being said, why don't you kind of tell us what's been going on, Sheila?
Tuesday of last week, hadn't been sleeping well, and just things didn't feel good. Just had a lot of stuff bother me. I had a friend commit suicide. Two very close friends, their son commit suicide. That was on the 16th, and then my birthday was like on the 23rd. I turned 64, and like I cried, and I text my son all night, and like I'm telling him I don't like being 64, and it's not really the age, it's that I've not fulfilled the things I'd planned, kind of a look back on my life. That got me depressed. And and then 3 days after my birthday is my best friend's birthday, and she died while I was in treatment from a brain tumor. She was a cocaine addict. She was a beauty queen with a lot of titles, and a teacher, and been my friend since the 4th grade.
Wow.
And so then her birthday hit. And then Tina Turner died, which is kind of crazy.
No.
But I thought that broke my heart too. But I thought, life's short. We planned to get those tattoos when we were 40. When we went to Beach Mountain, we couldn't find any place to get them. I thought I'm going to do this for me and her today. So I did. I went and got a tattoo. But it just a lot of memories from, the suicide brought back a very close friend of mine that had shot himself in the head, and I was there that night. It was a horrible time right before Christmas. Then my nephew had been in prison and he has relapsed and he's hearing voices, and my sister's enabling him to stay in his addiction. And then Wednesday, and so I called the doctor like 2 days in a row, and I even told him I'm a recovering drug addict. I feel like I'm going to relapse. Like, I've got a lot on me right now. I can't process it. So, but it took them a few days to get me in there. The messages didn't get crossed. So I was sitting here that morning waiting on my appointment, and I'd been craving like all morning, craving a pill. And I did that in my early recovery. It was horrible. You can't imagine what the cravings, there's no way to describe them. It's far worse than not having a drop of water for a week, because I've lived through both. And I thought thirst was the worst thing I'd ever lived through. I was in ICU and had full-blown eclampsia with my son. They wouldn't let me have water, and that's one of the worst things, to be that thirsty. But the craving is far worse than that. And I kept thinking my appointment's at 2, it's 11 o'clock, and I'm going to have to get the Wellbutrin, which is what I took before for the cravings. And then I thought I got to go to the pharmacy and get it. And my anxiety was just going on up and up and up. So I just texted a friend and said, can I get a Xanax or Klonopin? And she said, yeah, come on over. She gave me 2. I took
Sheila,
one.
if I
I
may,
wanna try to get her as soon as I can.
you never told us about
I guess her
a
birthday
brain
just came
tumor
here,
before.
and then just fill the space.
How long has that been going on?
No, this was my best friend.
Oh, you didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you had.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
said, you have
okay.
to keep me on track. I never start get my head's going
Wow.
off right
I
now.
was like, that's big reveal time right there.
No, my best friend died from the brain tumor, and it was because she was a cocaine addict, and it had eaten the myelin sheath off of her brain. And another close friend of hers that was a cocaine addict died from the same thing.
Wow.
Snorted the same cocaine. But all those memories I just started flooding back up. But I took the Xanax in this girl's driveway, and I put it under my tongue so I could dissolve it quicker. And then I could feel my anxiety coming down. And then I was driving home, and I thought, oh gosh, I ought to take the other one. And then I thought, oh no, I'm in trouble. I knew when I was already craving the second pill before I give the first one time to work, I thought, I am in trouble, and my doctor's probably going to discharge me today, because he already gave me a big lecture about doing self-medicating.
Didn't
But I
you
was
say that
prepared
he
for
was
it.
prescribing you Klonopin?
Was he prescribing it? No,
Okay. Okay.
no.
No, she said Wellbutrin, right?
Yeah, well, Butrin's what they gave me before for cravings. I would
Right.
never have made it, but I had gone off them. I hadn't had cravings in years.
Right. Sheila, if just for clarification, you were to make the distinction between the first pill and the second pill. Was it like you said, when you had the first one and then you wanted the second, that you were like, whoa, like I need to start watching this? Or in other words, was it unusual to have one? I guess is my question. Like, was the issue that you wanted a second, or was it the issue that you had one at all? Just the
But,
one at all.
they say one's too many and 1,000's
Yeah.
not enough.
Okay,
So,
I just wanted to clarify because I didn't.
no, as soon as
Yeah.
I got that one, immediately I wanted more.
Right.
Well, and that is my understanding, that people that are in the program, whichever program that you're in, that like you'll go through like massive surgery and not take oxycodone, not take Percocet. So, I mean, I get the severity of what was bothering you, and I mean, obviously my heart goes out to you. And I think that, you know, I wish there was another way, but it is a very logical process that you have to eliminate all the potential addictive properties in your life that you can, short of, you know, extreme pain. And I think that for yours is more psychological, but in general with pain, it is if it's not solving the problem of the pain, then then you're done. You don't need it anymore.
Yeah, and I did that twice. I had a 3rd-degree burn on my arm. A pressure cooker blew up on me, and I never used narcotics closer than 8 hours. I had a back surgery. He said, I'm gonna write you some Percocet. I said, no, let me try Lortab. Then if that don't work, then we can go to something stronger. But I said, I'm not going back to where I was.
Yeah.
You know, to me, the pain of addiction and the pain of recovery and all that I went through, that thought, playing that tape to the end and losing my relationships with my family and you know, all that I'm doing to myself, that was always enough to stop me. That was always enough for me to use the narcotics when I had to and not abuse them. Like I had a doctor here wrote me 90 Lortabs for my pinched nerve in my back. I never touched them. I gave them to my sister.
What is Lortab, if I might ask?
It's a pain pill. Pain pill.
What is it?
A pain pill.
What's the generic name?
Hydrocodone.
Oh,
Yeah.
geez.
Oh, okay.
Vicodin. Vicodin
Yeah.
is another popular name for it.
So yeah, I never had it. I never had a desire to pick those pills up.
Good for you.
So
but nothing would have stopped me this day. Nothing could have stopped me. I texted my son. I said, I'm going to get a Klonopin. And he said, Mom, you're having a stress. He's a pharmacist. He said, you're having a stress response. And the Klonopin is not going to make it better. I said, I know, but I got to have some relief. And he said, well, you're an adult and you're allowed to make bad choices. You know, my son, you know, that's just the way he's always been. He tells me like it is, but he don't say, Mom, don't go do it. You know, he's just not like that. It's your choice. You're an adult.
Hell, you raised him. You kept him alive for at least 18 years.
Yeah.
Well,
No doubt.
but I think one thing, I mean, just to, again, just clarify from what I'm hearing, what you're saying, Sheila, and kind of commenting on what Zeus said as far as, which is true, you know, eliminating as many things as you can in your life that are bad influences or stressors or what have you. But life is goes up and down. And there's times that even if you're trying to, you know, really protect yourself, that a lot of things can happen in succession. And it's just going to breach that. I mean, we're human beings, we're not robots, you know, and I think that's the thing that creates a lot of anxiety, you know, for the whole recovery thing, because there are strong forces out there, and you have to have some humility. It's not like I can do anything. I mean, that's great, but you also have to be able to forgive yourself and move on, because you can't. It's like when people say, I'm going to beat cancer. I always thought that was crappy. It's like, it's kind of an unfair way of I don't know. Again, I don't have terminal cancer, but you're like, now, okay, I got to get in a fight with cancer. I mean, you know, it's like that. I mean, I don't know if I want to do that. You know, I got other things I'd like to do with that time. But anyway,
Go spend some time at the beach
or something. Yeah, I don't know. It's just the whole analogy always bothered me. But anyway, just clarifying.
Yeah, I mean, Sheila, you're definitely a force. I don't think that this is going to beat you. You know.
No, I went to a recovery meeting on Saturday, and they were really surprised that I was there and that I shared what had happened and that I was that transparent. You know, they said it's just amazing that you were able to do that. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Well, Sheila, let me just ask you this. You said that, this is obviously a relapse and you're broken up about it. I can see that. But can I just the relapse, it sounds like what you're saying is you drove to your friend's house and you took one of these pills in the driveway. And then you felt the ease come. And then did you end up taking the second pill, if you don't mind saying so?
Yeah, I took it. Yes, I took it last night to sleep.
Okay, all
Did
right.
did you make it to the doctor?
Yeah, I did make it to the doctor, and he did put me on Wellbutrin. And then he started, pill is not he's a great doctor. And he said he knew I was in a lot of pain. He was going to get me a counselor, and that it had to be processed, which I know. Like I peel back another layer, but the only layer that's been more painful to peel back was when I found the abandoned inner child. I had nightmares for weeks, and I write. That's how it's so healing for me. But I couldn't write about my story, couldn't write about my pain. I'm really not beating myself up. I'm just really disappointed in myself.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
I'm
that's
scared. I'm scared because I don't want to go back. And I've never even had that thought before now. And then, like last night when I took that pill, I thought,
Mm-hmm.
man, it would just be so easy just to do this every night again and just say, fuck it, I'm done with this recovery and this sobriety and this anxiety. I just take me a pill and sleep and just want to forget it. Just kind of like I want to escape. And that's not me. That's not
You know,
me.
Yeah.
That's
no, it's
Yeah.
not
who
at
I
all.
am.
well, also Sheila, you got to keep in mind you were you were not doing anything like this for 6 years. And you reached a mindset during that time, especially when we talked to you last, where you talked about all the help you did for other people and how you were able to keep a positive mindset by writing, with music, etc. You gotta you can't be too hard on yourself. I know it seems a little hopeless now because you're like, shit, I did this again. This is just who I am. But you did very, very well for 6 years. I mean,
You inspired people, man.
I mean, this is
Mm-hmm.
a speed bump. I hate to belittle it, but this was just a bad time and you gave into it, right? I mean, you can think of it in terms of demons. I know a lot of people do that, like literally. Or they just think about it as like these oppressive thoughts. But I would just say the fact that you took the one, you didn't take the other till you felt like you needed it to sleep. You only did that. You didn't go back to the friend's house. You didn't go buy a bottle of vodka, and you went right to your doctor. And then you
Did
said
a
you went,
lot of good choices.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a
you're,
good point. That's a
and
great
now
point,
you're
Chuck.
on here and you're sharing with our viewers, with us. I just think you're doing great. And I think
Don't slip up again. Like,
no,
don't.
of course not.
This
Of
is
course
not.
not. But don't
It's
don't
not a
beat yourself
condemnation.
up.
Yeah,
It's
A
not
that's what
lot
I'm
of people
saying.
a lot of times people forget the fact that relapse is part of recovery.
Yes.
And it is normal. It's part of it. As
Yep.
long as you can catch it and can say, okay, face what you did. I did this. I have to reel it back in. Okay. Don't hate yourself for it and move
So-
forward.
Yeah. So when
and
I'm on the
continue.
unit, I often talk about like mental health issues, and this definitely falls into it. If we want
Most
to be,
definitely.
we want to be like straightforward. The Klonopin or whatever alcohol, booze, weed, whatever, they're a symptom of the real problem, which is your inner child stuff that you talk about. And what I always tell my patients, and I get a good reaction from this, is like the brain is a muscle, right? And like, and obviously it's not a muscle, but the allegory that I give them is that this is a muscle, and like you get addicted to your mental health issues just as quickly as anything else. And so you snap, and that's the tear in the muscle. And then you go get hospitalized, you seek treatment. And the coping skills are kind of the proteins and the amino acids that fill in that spot and make the muscle bigger. It's not always going to happen the first time. It's not always going to happen the second time. They say that with addiction, generally it's like 7 times before you really start to see a positive effect in it. And maybe this is just for you. It's a very, I mean, I don't want to diminish it because I don't want to excuse what you did. And I'm also not condemning you for what you did. What I'm saying is you had a weak moment and that it's going to get better. If you're taking in air, you got the opportunity to make things better. So keep taking in air and keep making things better. But the point is that you might slip again.
You're nice.
To be real, you might slip again, but you'll come back. You'll build those muscles and eventually you're gonna be fine. I think you're gonna be fine now, honestly. You've done so much to help so many people. You sure as fuck don't want to disappoint them. And I would be disappointed.
No, because I feel like if I fall, a lot of people's going to fall with me, and I can't let that happen.
That's a hell of a lot of
There you go.
responsibility.
Yeah.
When my doctor's, he's like, a pill is not the answer. A pill is never a choice. And I already knew I was going to get that lecture, so I just let him talk. And so I looked at him. I said, Dr. Tuttle, that pill served a purpose in my life. Drugs have served a purpose in my life. And he said, how do you think that? I said, because I would have picked up a gun. He said, then I need to put you inpatient. I said, if I can take my dogs, I'll go inpatient if that's what you think I need. But I think you ought to give me the opportunity to turn this around myself. So he did. But yeah, drugs kept me from committing suicide numerous times. I put a gun in my mouth and pulled the trigger. It loaded. My stepfather had broke in my house and disarmed the gun because the first time I tried it, first time I put it to my head and the gun jumped back and it grazed my head and blew a big hole in the ceiling. But yeah, I tried suicide numerous times. I wanted to die.
If you're gonna fail at something, that's the one you go with.
Yeah. I thought I read after that. I got to put it in my mouth. So I put it in my mouth the next time because I'm going to get it right this time. I was so mad at my stepfather, but it wasn't my time to go. It just wasn't. God didn't intend for me to go.
Yeah, it's still not your time.
Overdoses and Narcan, and when I was really, really deep in my addiction. But yeah, I mean, that's been so much worse than what I'm going through now. But I'm really grateful that I know what to do. I know what to do to get better. I know I got to make a lot of changes with my family because they're still very sick. My sister had an opportunity to have a program, and she went to a lot of counseling with me, and she did a lot of family meetings. But like I sent Zeus a picture of him making moonshine. He's on probation in her garage. And this has been going on the whole time, but I never saw my family.
But sweetheart, if I may, I don't mean to interrupt. You got, again, this is something I tell patients all the time. You got to get you right before you can help anybody.
Yeah.
And this is coming from somebody whose life is a complete mess. But I got me right. I know what my principles are. I know what I need to do to survive for now. But you got to have you as right as you can be. Like, I'm not saying to dismiss that he's doing moonshine and things, but you got to have you at your best before you can help anybody else.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
No way.
Right.
And I'm powerless over my family. I can love them and I can pray for them, but I'm powerless over them. But it still doesn't keep it from hurting. And my doctor said
either.
No, my doctor said you're grieving the loss of your nephew.
Exactly.
You're grieving that loss. And you're dealing with a massive amount of pain, and this got to be a slow process. And I know that. It's just, I have just been doing so good, and I have physically felt so good. And it's like I went from sky high to rock bottom, not necessarily the rock bottom I've hit before. I just went from sky high to lost. And I could always, like I say, play the tape to the end and think about the pain. But that was nothing would have stopped me this time. And it really scared me, because usually this is where
Good.
people overdose and
Good.
die.
Let it scare
Mhm.
you. Let it scare the fuck out of you. That's fine. It's fine. Being scared, man, it helps. Fear is a hell of a motivator, man. Look at the country right now. We're scared of everything, and we are well managed. But if you use it in the right places, fear is not the worst thing you can go through. I'm sorry. I just when you say you were scared, I was like, be scared. Good. Because it
Sheila,
means you still care.
I know
Sheila,
you care about me. You don't offend me. I like straight shooting people.
yep. Sheila, would
Definitely that.
Shoot me with the truth.
I mean, one, I didn't, you're saying this was just a week ago Tuesday, right? So you're 9 days.
Mhm.
Just again, that was very recent. Are you
Green planet.
with what you're feeling? Is it still the pain and everything of your friend's birthday and these other things that kind of like,
Her
or
birthday.
I'm sorry,
Her birthday.
and her birthday.
Yeah.
But or is that kind of gone and you're upset about relapsing? Like, or are you still feeling all of that?
That's a good question. Um,
And it's rhetorical. Yeah, it's just, I'm just curious.
I think now I'm just trying. Well, I've got a job interview this week, Thursday. I think I really need to get back to work and get busy,
Mm,
because alone in your thoughts is the worst place in the world for
Yeah.
somebody in recovery to be.
Hmm.
I do isolate, usually healthy isolation, because I have horrible anxiety. I was on Xanax for over 40 years. So I deal with anxiety every day. I mean, I'm so nervous about coming on here, but then, like, once I get there, I'm okay. It's the same with work. It's oh my God, that interview, I don't want to go. Why did I decide to do this? Then all that starts playing in my head. And, but then when I get there, I'm okay. It's just really weird what I go through with my anxiety, but I meditate, and I just got to
Mhm.
get back. Like you said, my cup's empty. I got to fill it up. And it's like
Hmm.
taking a medicine dropper and filling up a barrel. It's a
Hmm.
slow process. I've been there and done that. I just hate to have to do it again. I
I
think
mean,
it just,
what
Yeah.
kind of job are you
Also,
looking for?
go ahead, Zeus.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
What kind of job are you looking for? Because for me, in interest for your best interest, you got to find a job that you would do for free. So maybe counseling others. I mean, I don't know what your financial situation. I would imagine that you're doing okay, just based on our talks in the past. But I feel like you should do something that is going to fill that cup. You know what I mean?
well, I favor Faces and Voices of Recovery, my recovery group. I helped start the one here in Spartanburg. I was a recovery coach with the one in Greenville. Actually, the first guy I ever coached that totally challenged me. He was at the meeting Saturday, and he was clean and sober, and I was so excited. It was so good to see that he made it, because I had my doubts about him.
Hmm.
But usually, if you can keep them alive long enough, they eventually get it. And he did. And he had a beautiful family that I just adored. And, they're wanting me to be a recovery coach, and they're wanting me to facilitate some meetings for them. And I will probably volunteer and do some of that. I would like to do pet therapy and music therapy and a women's group, because I want to know what helped them in their early recovery, because it is so hard. early recovery, nothing feels right, nothing. And I think about that all the time, all the things that would have helped me if anybody had suggested them to me, if there had been a program like that. But yeah, they're really wanting me to get involved again with, and they offered me the job there. I just didn't, when we first started it, facilitating the meetings and running the program. But there was actually an RN there much younger than me, and I felt like she really needed it. And we did a lot of, like, we have a program where we go to the drug addicts at the hospital when they overdose, and we're their advocate.
Mhm.
And then we keep in touch with them from the time of their overdose. I mean, it's 24/7, all the hospitals, and this is a grant program. We have an 80% retention in that program. It's amazing.
Wow.
And that was really what I was wanting to do at the time, but then the drive to Greenville was just too far, so I ended up not doing that and went back into nursing.
You
But
know, if I may, and I hope this gives you hope, because you got a capacity that I find very interesting, and I'm not being ageist, but at 64, that you're still having this like thirst for knowledge, I find very humble and unique just in society in general. Everybody knows everything about everything now, and I really love that quality. I think that's what's going to get you through this is that propensity towards being humble and knowing that you know enough to know that you don't know enough. And I think that's a pretty powerful. If you were an X-Men, that'd be one of the cool powers.
yeah, I always say
That's
I don't know the
impressive.
answer, but I know where to find it.
That's an old nursing line, but I'll let you get away with that one. Wow.
No, my son always says I'm chasing another dream.
Keep chasing them.
I plan to. Like, it'll keep me alive and healthy.
Sheila,
But
what
yeah,
kind of recovery programs would you say out there are most effective, or that you have gone through that you thought have worked best, or because everyone knows AA, NA, but I mean that's really the
Yes.
most mainstream type of recovery programs
Right,
that's out there. So
NA and AA are helping 10 to 12% of the people.
yeah, that's kind of what I
We've
was
got to
getting at. I don't.
rethink it. The system is very broken. I
Mhm.
support harm reduction, but I
Me
look
too.
at Suboxone as somebody's out there in the water and they're drowning. We throw them a life raft, and they can stay
Mm.
out there on the Suboxone. They can stay on that life raft. I think we've always got to keep the goal as total abstinence. Very few people will probably reach it, but I still think, even for myself, I think you have, that's my goal. Even though I smoke weed sometimes, even with this, I didn't even want to smoke weed. I had no desire to have a drink. None of that crossed my mind. But, up to me, that coming, because you're still tied to a clinic, and you still got it's like wearing chains.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Box is like wearing a chain around your neck. I was on methadone 14 years, and that clinic was my life, and I lost a whole decade of my life. It seemed like I started on methadone and every day was the same, like I was in some kind of a trance or prison. The door was open, but I couldn't figure out how to get out. And then when I got a little clarity, then I started figuring out how to get out of that prison. But so I support harm reduction, faces and voices of recovery. We recover out loud so people don't die in silence. We put
Mhm.
a face and a voice out there for a reason. Um, so it was key. That was my key recovery program. I did a lot of service work, and I did it early. The first meeting I went to, they said, "Hey, we want you to do service work." I said, "What do you want me to do?" They said, "We want you to go to Carolina Center and speak." I said, "I just got out of the Carolina Center. I can't go up there and speak." They said, "Oh, yes, you can." Then we want you to go up to Phoenix Center. I said, "Well, okay, I've never been so nervous in all my life." But I did it. And then the more I did it, the easier it got. And then more lives I saw it touch, because people would just bombard me after the meetings. And my recovery coach, she said, Sheila, you are a natural with these people. They love you. They connect with you. She said, all ages connect with you because they know you really care about them. She said,
Mhm.
they know you feel their pain and they know you care about them. But she's, and I'm like, oh, I just want to be a recovery coach for Favor. That's my dream. She said, you'll outgrow Favor. She said, you're a leader and you will outgrow Favor.
Mm.
And she was right, because I wanted a bigger audience. And I do have a bigger, much bigger audience on TikTok, a worldwide audience.
Yeah.
And I, connect with a lot of different people in a lot of different places. And I have been just totally amazed at preachers I've never even heard of, reaching out to me on Facebook, and people in Messenger giving me their phone numbers. And I just cry. I just sit there and cry every time I'd read another one. I would just cry. And that
Mhm.
kept me putting one foot in front of the other,
Mhm.
because I had this huge support system and a recovery coach that's with 22 years, or I guess you probably got more than that now, about 28 years clean time. He
Wow.
messaged me on Facebook and said, come to the meeting Saturday. And I hadn't even thought about going to a meeting. I thought, yeah, that's what I need to do, go to a meeting. You know
Mhm.
what? I got to start over.
Yeah.
Push me
Yeah.
to a meeting. So I did, but it really helped me. And I'm going to go to some more this week. But yeah, I mean, I'm in a better place. I'm just trying to process all this. And
Mhm.
I don't know, I feel like I let a lot of people down, I let myself down the most. But like y'all said, my doctor said, you're not superwoman. And he said, you are. And he had read my book. And he said, you need to write another book. He said, I got your book right beside of my bed. I said, I've already written the book about my recovery. It's written, it'll be out soon. And but he
Nice.
said, you're not superwoman. He said, but you're a very strong woman, and you're very tenderhearted, you're very caring. And he said, you were thrown into a world that you were never prepared for.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's yeah. I'm just saying it is a process, right? I mean, it's like you take steps forward. I mean, 6 years. Isn't there a joy? Wasn't there a joy during that say 5 years or whatever, where it's like you're just thrilled that you're sober? Doesn't
Well,
that
of course
start to
there
create
was.
its own? It kind of has its own thing to it,
Oh
and
yeah, and I spent 2 years on the back of a Harley just traveled all the time.
yeah,
Wow.
Felt like therapy was the best therapy I've ever had in my life. Only reason I don't ride now because my pinched nerve. But yeah, the whole world, like the sunrise, is so much more beautiful, and the sunset, you don't want to
Yeah.
miss any. And the
mm-hmm,
simple things in life bring you the most pleasure. And I feel like this, I think everything happens for a reason. And I think this was just to get me, I think this will get me on back on track to doing something with my life, because that's been playing in my head. I've got to get up and do something more.
mm-hmm,
I always tell my son, I want to make you proud of me before I leave here. He said, Mom, I am proud of you. I said, yeah, but I want to leave a legacy. I said,
Yeah.
I want people to know that I care. When I die, I want people to say, your mom really cared about people. She did this and she did that. And so, yeah, I want to keep working on my legacy, and I want my legacy to be that I cared.
yeah,
Yeah, but Sheila, I mean, you kind of are already doing that. I mean, you talked about all these people that you've helped. You literally saved lives. So you've already touched other people. You've written stuff. You've written books, I think you said the last time,
mm-hmm,
and people have read those books.
Yep.
So you got to kind of take a little a little pride in the things you've done. Like I know you mentioned meditation. Like I'm a fan of that as well because I've got anxieties and all sorts of like, hang-ups and whatnot. And one of the things I learned, and you probably know this because you've been doing this for so long, but like proper meditation, it doesn't have to be sitting in a yoga pose with, saying Om. It's
Mm,
really just about being in the present and not dwelling on the past and not what ifing the future to death. Like you said, the anxiety, oh, I have to go to this interview. What if I suck? Um, and being in the present, it could be as simple as taking note of the water on your hands when you wash them or rubbing butter on toast. You don't have to crank up music. There's so much sensory awareness just in
the
being
moment.
present. And it sounds like when this birthday thing hit, you looked to the past. Oh shit, I did all these horrible things, and what, the things that I didn't do, and how am I going to get to tomorrow without taking a painkiller because this is so overwhelming. And I know it's hard to live meditatively all the time. Like I get it. But if you have the tools to remind yourself that the way I think is going to affect the way I feel, and that's going to affect the choices that I make. You know what I mean? Like I know it's
Yeah.
difficult, but meditation, I think that's a good thing if you can remember how to do it. And then I had one other question, and that's sort of my rant about meditation because I find it helpful, and I think you know that it is. But you had mentioned and you were forthcoming about the fact that you do partake in marijuana because it helps ease your anxiety and you like it and it's harmless, at least you feel like it is. Um, when you were going through all this horrible thought processes that led you to the driveway and the Klonopin or the Xanax, was marijuana just simply not helpful for you? I mean, was it just it kind of dried up, right?
It
Had
didn't
no desire to I had no desire to do that or to
didn't
even
feed the craving.
drink. No, that it was like,
Yeah,
that was
but
the
does
love of my life. I felt like it was memory recall, like when I was in really bad pain, Xanax, I think really what set that up, I was cleaning out some uh files, and I'd saved some files because I wanted some stuff I wanted to add in my book on my medications, and I saw where they'd given me Ativan. And that was a
Mhm.
huge trigger. I thought, oh God, Ativan. I never
Yeah.
really liked Ativan. Maybe my doctor will write me that because I really didn't like Ativan. That wasn't my thing. And that was something else that said, it's like that thought was in my head. But they say you relapse in your head 2 weeks before you use.
Mhm.
So that's what I
Mm.
was
I've heard
trying to
that.
go back and say what happened. Not always, but usually you've relapsed two
But
weeks
you
before.
gotta kind of take the attitude of it being always like the 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 thing that is so upsetting about addiction from my perspective is that you have to carry that cross through the rest of your life. It's unfortunate because generally when you make I wouldn't call it a decision to be addicted, but when you become addicted, you don't realize that even if you recover, you can never allow for the lapses. And although I agree with the thought process that it's far safer to be, in most cases, I don't like absolutes. But I think in the case of addiction, absolutes are really what you have to use to survive. I can never do this again. If I have surgery, I can't take oxycodone. If I have anxiety, I can't take lorazepam. But there are going to be times when pain is so unbearable that you have to have that. And you can't always prepare. You can't always have like the thought process of I'm going to be prepared for this Ativan that's going to make me feel fucking great. Because at the end of that, I'm going to feel like shit. And so it's like the Scarlet Letter. It's like once you got it,
Hmm.
it's right there on your chest.
Exactly.
It never leaves. And that's a sad state. And it's probably a state of, physiological problems. We tend to gravitate towards those things that make us feel good, So to that, 6 years that you did is effing amazing. And again, I think that you got 20 more years where this was just a reminder that you're vulnerable, that life happens. Life sucks. Life happens to you all the time. Like, you want to wear my shoes for a day, you're gonna have some problems. But at the end,
it's also awesome.
Yeah.
it is. It's fucking. And if you want to really look at it, your lows make your highs so much better. But on the flip side of that, your highs make your lows feel so much worse.
Yeah.
And
That's the truth.
I don't know.
And I got a program, and you did
Yeah.
to make my life better.
I think, and again, I'm just shooting from the hip here, but based on what Zeus was saying with the point of this being like the Scarlet Letter, something you have to deal with the rest of your life, I think from a practical standpoint, it has to be, it's not just in your head. It's like what Jack was saying about meditation. And again, I'm just speaking in general, Sheila. This isn't meant just for you, but I'm saying if you're meditating, it needs to be every day at 7:08 a.m. I'm doing this for 20 minutes. It can't be like, I don't know if I feel like meditating now. Like it has to
do
be, it has to be part of your routine. It's the same thing as like if you want to get in shape and you have to go to the gym every day, and you hear people say like, man, I missed one day and then it was like a week. You know what I mean? So, and with meditation or whatever it is, taking time to listen to music, have like every Wednesday night, I listen to 2 albums or whatever. It doesn't matter what I'm saying is it has to be a schedule. And I think that is the way to do it, because if you just rely on your mental wherewithal to do it, we're just human beings. You need to give yourself tools. You need to give yourself a structure, and not just leave it up to your consciousness all the time.
And that's what I got away from. Exactly what you just said. I quit the self-care. I always take, like, I have a huge jacuzzi tub. I'd always get in it at night and relax.
Look at you, fancy lady.
With the jets.
Like, and that really helped me. I got away from that. I jumped in the shower. Then I'd skip a night of meditation. Then when I just got to where I could not sleep, then I'd get up and start doing it. Yeah, I quit doing all the things that was keeping me happy. I got comfortable with my recovery, and that's a dangerous thing to do too. And I knew it was, but I was just self-neglecting.
I think that's a great point, Sheila. I mean, again, I just thought of that off the top of my head.
No, you're right.
That's exactly what it is. I'm like, I think people, again, from a practical standpoint, you have to do the little things. It's like when they say, like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Like you have to set yourself up to win and have redundancy. And I think the other thing, and just because I forgot to mention it earlier, but I really think one of the biggest things, like the number one thing is, and what Sheila was talking about, is being social and having communication with other people, like retreating into your own little thing. That's a disaster. That's
it's not healthy. And if I may, 2 things. First of all, Sheila, you never forgive yourself for this, right? but know that we, and Des, I think, is on board too, just having met you, but we forgive you. So you can deal with like not forgiving yourself for what you did. But you got to know that there's people out there that, I mean, honestly, we know you from like one show and a couple Facebook messages, but we like you, you know? And
Yeah.
we
Yep,
want you to do
absolutely.
well. So you can beat yourself up a little, but gauge that. Don't beat yourself up so much that you fall back into patterns that were
Mm.
negative. Just know that there's people out there, and I'm going to put a lot of onus on you, but I speaking for myself, I'm not going to speak for the rest of the guys. If you do not work out well from this, it's going to break my heart. I think I can speak for everybody, but it's okay to acknowledge your faults, but don't beat yourself up about it. Know that that's something you have to work on, but know that there's people out there that you don't see every day, that you see once every 2 months, that actually like care about how you turn out. And God damn, I mean, I've looked at your Facebook messages, like it's all this positivity. I think you're gonna be fine. For me,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, think about the people you've helped and think about the amount of times that you've had to talk with somebody that relapsed. That's probably
Yeah, and
happened
what did you say to
countless.
them?
Yeah, think about what you told them, and you
Mhm.
probably helped a lot of them not to do that again. You got to kind of take you got to take pride in your own accomplishments because you have them.
You're a
And
badass, man. You're a
Yeah.
badass.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I always ask them if your best friend did what you have done after relapse. What would you say about them?
It's a fucking really
Yeah.
great thing to say. I mean,
And what do they say?
yeah,
One of them said, I would say you're my hero.
you're my
And
hero.
she was her own hero, and I read that was one of my favorites. And she said, "Oh shit!" I'd tell her, "Hey, you're my hero."
Do you know you would probably be, if I felt that I was enthralled in any drug or alcohol addiction, you would probably be the first person that I would contact above. And listen, I know psychiatrists. We've had them on the show. I could go to an actual psychiatrist and the guy loves me. We get along great. I'd probably go to you first because your words are strong and you are, and I wish you the best. When you have the cravings later tonight, which I'm sure they'll come along, you got to know that there's people here that are wishing the best for you.
yeah,
And
no
no
doubt.
matter what happens, I know you're religious. I'm kind of quasi-religious, but one of the lines that I really love from the Bible is God will only give you what you can
What
handle.
you can handle.
You know?
Yeah. And that's what I said in the meeting Saturday. I said, God didn't promise us a bed of roses, but he promised us he'd take us through it. And you got to praise him in the valleys because he's got a blessing waiting on me on the other side.
And then there's that whole
Yeah.
footsteps thing, which is just great.
Yeah. That's my next tattoo. He walks with me.
Yeah, and also not to be all religious, I was raised Catholic, right? And I'm
What
sort
do
of
you
a
feel guilty
lapsing
about?
I'm a lapsing Catholic at best, but I do have faith. If you have faith and you do pray, and I know you do because you've told us that, keep in mind it's not just about God. There's that other tricky little guy out there called the devil. And there
I
are
heard he's a prick.
no, and there are temptations, and it's all about making you fall. So you got to kind of realize that and protect yourself against that too, because that shit's no joke. And if you lose sight of that, it's easy to lose sight of the big picture, which is, walking through that garden you're talking about. So,
Yeah.
that's
And he's very calculated in what he does. He's not
yeah, he is.
sloppy. very calculated.
I hear he's kind of a son of a bitch.
That's what, yeah.
I always say I'm not so heaven bound. I'm no earthly good. I'm a spiritual person.
Yeah.
I don't preach hellfire and damnation to people. I heard that all my life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm not either. I'm not either, but I do believe that there are temptations and that there's some semblance of evil in the real material
Oh
world.
yeah.
There,
And
yeah.
addiction is definitely part of that. I mean, because look at what it does to people. You don't win. You just don't, you know,
No, like
it's no, it's like going to the casino, right? I mean, the house always wins if you start placing bets long enough and you can't get out. You're gonna lose. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
well, and it goes back to the Scarlet Letter thing. Is once it sucks that you cross that line, but once you cross that line, man, you got the letter. It's right there. You got to always remember it's there, and you just got to persevere. And
And
that
I would say if you dance with the devil long enough, he's going to get you. And I've danced with him my life's dance because he will win. I
Yeah.
keep tempting him and I keep dancing with him. He will win.
no, he's not going to win with you. You're
Yeah,
gonna,
and
No,
you also got to, like you said too, you talked about, like, you know, taking your first drink when you were a very, very young person and being born in a domestic situation that was far from appealing. I mean, so in a way, and you might have had they say addiction is also genetic. I think everything is nature and nurture. I think it's a combination, and
yes,
you got this.
100%.
So I mean, you got this scarlet letter or this addictive personality probably before you took your first drink.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's a personality type.
I firmly
And
believe that
It's
there's
like you
people
had
out
you had
there.
it in your pocket. You just had to when you gonna put it on, you
Yeah,
know.
I
I
firmly
like that. I like that.
I think there's people out there that were totally had a complete propensity towards addiction, and for whatever reason, it never came into their life. And maybe they didn't get addicted to a substance, but maybe they got addicted to like
Roller coasters.
roller coaster. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. I
that'd
was
be a
gonna go,
fun one.
Des. I was gonna go so much darker than roller coasters, so thank you. but they
Sex.
have like they just have this like like
Compulsion.
the old merry-go-rounds with the golden ring, and yeah, if you get the golden ring, then blah blah blah. But like they had something that they transferred that addiction to, and luckily it wasn't something that was like
Physically
devastating.
harmful.
Yeah,
Right.
get a healthy addiction.
Like
I
working out, even though sometimes that could be unhealthy, but some people
Well,
get addicted to food. That's also not healthy, but
Yeah,
you know.
compulsion.
I have a person in my life who is very important in my life. I'm not gonna, name who they are or what capacity, but they had an issue where I will say that they were a nurse, and that they they had a problem where somebody said, I think you've been drinking, blah blah blah. And what they did was they found a positive addiction. They worked out constantly. And I really feel like the best way, in my personal opinion, and it takes a lot of capacity for like self-repair, but the best way to deal with addiction is to find that positive addiction. If it's drinking a 16-ounce glass of water first thing in the morning to like clean out the system, whatever, to find that positive addiction, that I think is, for me at least, would be the key.
Yeah, but you got to find the right one that's going to feed that craving.
Yeah,
And that's
I'm addicted to gardening right now.
There you
I've
go.
planted over 100 flowers. I got a vegetable garden. I'll have to send you pictures when they all start blooming. But my writing has now hit 8.7 million views. I have
That's
two
awesome.
stories at 1.1 million views. but it doesn't even feel like my life. It feels like it's somebody else's life. It's
Isn't
really,
that so weird that you
yeah,
have
I have no connection to this. Have no connection to it, but I love it. It's like
8
an
million
out-of-body
people,
experience. That's a really good high.
Wow.
8 million people that are listening to what you're saying, and you're like, meh, meh. You know, like
I
we
can't wrap
feel
my
for that.
head around it. And I'm kind of glad that I can't, I just can't wrap my head around it.
Yeah, you're because you're doing it for reasons that aren't necessarily based on how many people are seeing it.
Hmm.
You're not
So,
doing it for the
Yeah,
vibe.
you're not sweating that. So it's not it's icing on the cake.
Yeah,
You
they
know?
pay me now, and I've not even transferred my money over into my checking account. It's just sitting there because I didn't start doing it for the money, and
Right.
I don't want to lose sight of why I'm writing, and I don't want to mix that with, oh gosh, I got to write more, got to make more money, because
That's
I'm
good.
never going to get to. I got to stay true to why I started doing it. But I do want a bestseller book. That's my big goal when I publish Rebirth of a Dead Soul.
Hey, can I
And
ask you, Sheila, can I ask you, and also for the viewers, if somebody wants to get their hands on your books, like where do they go?
I'm gonna, well, they can go to Amazon, but I'm gonna send all of you all a signed copy. I've just not ordered yet. They're gonna raise our prices June the 9th, so
Oh
I've
wow.
got
No, I
to order
appreciate
those
that, but okay, so if they
on the
want to get
Amazon.
Amazon has your book, so just they could do a search of your name, which is right there on the screen, if they don't know your titles, and then they
Yeah,
could do that. Yeah, no, if you're out there and you got some issues or you just want to hear a compelling story, definitely do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Check out one
yeah.
of these books.
Yeah,
My,
give us a link, and we'll definitely post it with this show.
Oh, it's Amazon.
yeah, all
We're
of
gonna
my,
get to at least 50 people.
No,
Well, I was
all,
gonna.
well,
I mean,
I have a guy right, I have a
no.
guy right now that's the top performer on TikTok. And I mean, he's making good money on TikTok, and he has 675,000 followers. So he's
Cool.
marketing my book for me now, and my sales are going up.
sweet.
Good.
Can we be a guest on your TikTok account?
Mhm.
We could
Yeah.
use we don't even listen. We don't even want 8 million. We'll settle for 1 million.
We can do the whole podcast in 1 minute.
And,
Yeah,
and
no, or
listen,
Sheila, at the very least, when you go on TikTok, just throw a plug to the Friends of Zeus podcast on YouTube and Facebook.
I
Just
was
throw it
gonna
out
say
there.
when you're
I
talking about
did.
like, I'm sorry.
I did today.
This is the
Oh.
shameless marketing
Thank
part
you,
of the
Sheila.
show.
Look, one of my favorite Foz episodes, I think it's number 24, which is the one Tom always makes fun of. The AI robotics supercomputers in you.
Mhm.
Has like
Don't
20
watch that one.
It has like 24 views. We did it like a year and a half ago. It's still one of my favorite episodes. So I understand, Sheila. It has nothing to
It's
do
nothing
with
to, yeah, we do it for ourselves,
we
damn
do
it.
it for
You're right, Mike.
ourselves.
For
Yeah.
us, this is like for me. I'm not speaking for the rest of the guys, but for me, like if how many shows have I missed compared to any of you?
Zero.
It's not a contest.
Yeah, not a
That's
contest.
what I would win.
Yeah, but hey, Zeus, your name's the title of the podcast.
Yeah.
You kind of have to show up.
Not my choice. I was going with alls I'm saying.
Yeah, that sucked.
Five
There
guys
was-
yakking.
But
That
hold
sucked
on.
Five guys
too.
yakking.
There was a lot of interest in this podcast, though, on Facebook. Did you see all the people on there wanting to know how to get the link and where they
Really?
could watch it? Yeah, the
I
more
haven't seen
interest
it
in
yet,
this
no.
on Relapse, and I've never seen it done on Relapse. Never, ever. And I'm going to take it to Favor, which we have like 5 favors, and I'm going to have them to use, to show it across the board.
Well,
Oh,
that
that's
would
great too.
that would be
That'll
cool.
get you a big audience there too. But no, you all have
Honestly, if we get
everything
one
you
more
need.
view from you, I don't care. You're
Y'all have
You're-
everything you need, and you're going to make it. I would definitely bet on you because you're real, and you're honest, and you just tell it like it is. I don't like people that sugarcoat stuff. I think you just got to put it out there, and
Mhm.
that's the people I listen to, and just raw honesty is what I like. And you all have that with
I'm forced
compassion.
to agree with you. I
And
think
you're
we
all
are
highly intelligent people. You're
Whoa.
Oh
amazing.
yeah,
I
keep
know
it.
Whoa,
Yeah.
Continue,
Yeah,
continue.
Don't go too far.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
keep it coming,
Lori is
Sheila.
highly intelligent.
You
The
always
rest of
think
us,
outside
You
the
had
box.
you had me going there for a little bit, but
You always
You got
think
us.
outside the box. Just and like the last time, there were so many things I thought about that you all brought up that I've thought about a million times, but I've never heard them addressed. So
Like
yeah,
what?
we'll
Yeah,
wait about you.
one was like he said. He said you don't want to. I was talking about like I don't count the days anymore, and I just count my blessings, and I really didn't want to work in my recovery group. And he said, "Well, you wouldn't want that to be your life all the time, would you?" And no, I don't. And but recovery kind of pushes you toward that. Make this your life. Work in
Yeah.
recovery. Stay in recovery.
Mhm.
No, I wanted my real life back.
right.
Recovery is part of my life, but
Mhm.
it's not my life. I wanted to go out among the people, somebody besides recovery people. And I get tired of hearing recovery stories, and it gets old sometimes. And I even question, why am I telling the
away.
story?
Sheila, just walk away those times and
I
come
do.
back when you're ready to hear it.
yeah, she has. Yeah.
I do.
It's
Yeah.
That's
okay
what
to
I
go,
do.
oh my fucking God, would you guys quit whining about everything?
Yeah.
And then
Probably not a good
come back and
idea.
go, come whine to me. You know what I mean? It's okay. We're not perfect. That's why we're here, apparently,
Mhm.
is to fucking fight the bad shit.
And
Like
see,
Sheila,
tell
you are a pillar amongst people as far as everything I've seen from you. Unless you're completely full of shit, which I don't think you are.
probably.
And you know what? Fine, roll with that. If that's gonna be your addiction, fucking be addicted to being full of shit, but don't hit the Klonopin again. It's just not worth it. Let's look at it from a nursing standpoint. Risks, benefits. The risk from you taking Klonopin is fucking massive. The benefits from you not taking it are massive as well, but in a far better light. You just gotta stay strong. I mean, that's such a cliche statement to make, but you're a beast, man. And
No,
you got
because so many days, that's all I do is I just pray for strength. God, just give me the strength. Only that's God to get me through it. Give me the strength to get through it.
and he gave you strength for 6 years. You had a little hiccup, and I'm not excusing it. I'm not. There is fault in what you did, but the positive is that you saw the fault and you're persevering, which is one of the other things that I throw out on my unit all the time is perseverance, man. You just gotta fucking muscle through shit. This is a problem. I'm gonna break through it and come out on the other end. And you're doing it. And you will.
Yeah, you
And
are
I-
doing it.
And I felt like tonight, when you bring the demons out of the closet and shed light on them, they go away.
Yes.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
really think that, that's what I've done. It's hard, but I think that's what I've done.
I hope you feel better. I hope you feel a little better.
Much
I hope we've helped you, yeah.
much better.
That's
I
great,
was
Sheila.
so nervous. I kept thinking at I can't back out on them at the last minute. So I kept telling
Never have to be nervous with us.
Oh, yeah.
Again, speaking for myself, I love you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
And,
love you all
and
too. You're
I
awesome.
only want the best for you. And like I think we've even reached like this new level with you with this episode. I hope it gets out to, and this is besides the fact that we've only got 50 viewers, but I hope it gets out to so many people so they can see that like there is like some positivity you can pull from a lapse. And again, I'm not gonna not call it a lapse. I'm not gonna not say that you made a mistake, but what I will say is that you're here talking to us. You're not high. you're you're working through it, you're persevering, and perseverance is like word of the day, word of the month, word of your life kind of fucking thing. It's like you gotta always persevere.
Have you ever
Yeah.
have you ever tried doing like the words of affirmation thing like in the mirror?
Oh,
Yeah.
like good
Like
luck,
where you
I'm
say,
strong
I
enough,
did not use
I'm
drugs
strong-
today and I am proud of myself.
Yeah.
Or I am not high and that's good. Like you
Yeah.
just tell yourself these things in the mirror and eventually, you
It
know,
works. I mean,
start
and
to
I
you trick your brain
struggle.
into giving yourself positive self-talk instead of the negative self-talk that like kind of gets you down the spiral of, oh gosh, these are taking over. If I just do it once, I'll be fine. Da, da, da. You know.
I've even put them on note cards and taped them to my mirror, and then I had them on my phone too. And that's one thing I constantly try to put put positive thoughts into my head.
You know
And
what?
I call him my TikTok son, but he was just recently on Dr. Phil's show,
Mm.
and he has a lot of followers too. And I will get this podcast out to him.
So, Sheila, a little bit of humor here. Have you ever thought of changing the group of people that you hang out with? Because a lot of them seem to have very similar problems.
Who do I hang out with similar problems?
I don't know.
I miss that.
No, well, no, I think Zeus, you had mentioned, Sheila, that you have a lot of family members that you love that are suffering
Oh,
terrible addictions.
yeah,
And then also, no offense to your friend, but you had a friend that gave you a pill without a prescription. Like you're kind of not supposed to have those friends. No offense to this person.
And they were
Right.
trying to help. Yeah.
I know they're trying to help. They see that you were haggard and you were, like really going through
Yeah,
the
that's a
shit.
hard position. Yeah.
It's a hard position. That's right. But you
And
gotta be careful.
yeah.
and
My
one would
doctor told
say,
me to delete her phone number. He said, first thing you need to do is delete her phone number
Yeah.
I don't,
and
I
get off of
don't know about
social media.
I don't know about all that. You could tell them, hey, if I come to you with this problem, you tell me.
Right, but you can't
Okay.
you can't change the actions of others. You can only change the actions of yourself. And so
Exactly.
you can't force somebody to tell you no.
Exactly.
You know, you can only make
It's
yourself
and that's
not
an
ask.
And if
unfair
it wouldn't
No,
have
position.
that
been her, it
yeah,
would have
that's
been
totally
somebody
Whoa,
else.
whoa, 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 whoa!
Tell the
Back off,
truth.
guys. Just trying to help here.
no, that's totally true. But I know that the people like that you spend a lot of time with. I mean,
Yeah,
I
It's
mean,
important.
honestly, like I back Zeus and I go way back, and there was definitely a point where there was some drinking,
Oh yeah.
no doubt about it. I had a friend totally in a different group of friends. This was somebody I knew, probably around that time, Zeus. And they went through recovery. Like they had to get sober. Like I don't remember all the details, but that person had to basically stop hanging out with me and my friends completely. And
Mhm.
he said, I'm sorry, but I can't be around this, period.
Mhm.
And I remember within like a year or so, I never talked to the guy again. Like
Wow.
he went and created a life for himself,
Yeah.
doing, and I heard recently he's doing very well, which is nice.
Yeah.
yeah,
But
that's going to be the
I had
hardest. The
I had a
hardest part
reason.
of this is that
yeah,
my relationship with my family has to change because I can't fight their battles.
Right.
right.
Listen, what you can do is you can love them, but you
From a distance.
can
Love
also.
love them from a distance and pray
Yes.
for them.
Yeah,
I
that's right.
had a recent experience where, somebody asked me, "Is it okay?" And I was like, "Sure." And I wanted to be supportive and be a friend, and it backfired. And I learned a valuable lesson from that. And it's not that I can't be supportive; it's that I have to be more firm with where I come from. Like the person I'm talking about, I love with all my heart. And if the situation were to arise again, I'd be like, fuck you, you do you, and fucking leave me out of shit. And it's fine. It's fine. But God, life just fucking happens. And I went through this, and it was actually a hard point for me. For me, not for everybody else involved, but for me, it was an eye-opening kind of situation, and I will handle it differently. And I just hope that you have people around you that didn't have to go through that first step and get it right the first time. And I think you do. You got us. You want to come on here anytime, that's fine. I love you. I think I speak for the rest of the group. We love you. We want you to do well. Just don't let us down. And I don't think you will.
Yeah, and Sheila, as far as that open invitation, this is kind of on us. One thing we have to get better at, and the guys can attest to this, is knowing exactly what we're going to talk about ahead of time instead of doing it at the last minute.
Right.
Because on, let's say on a Tuesday, if we know for a fact we're going to talk about this night.
This one snuck up on us, though.
No. I don't mean tonight. Let me finish my point. We could actually then put it on Facebook and say, hey guys, we're recording a show tonight. It's going to be about I don't know, Trump versus DeSantis, whatever. If you ever see a post on Facebook, if you ever see that and you say, hey, give Zeus a call. Hey,
I want to talk about it.
Hey, can I be on there too? I'm sure Zeus is going to say absolutely. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
at this point. So yeah, we'll try to get better at giving everybody a heads up.
Well, actually, we were actually talking about going live and all, but Tom bailed on us. So,
even Sheila just wants to come on as a guest. Like, it's an open door. Like, if we're just talking about, Star Wars, you want to jump on, it doesn't have to be.
We're not talking about Star Wars.
I know we did it one time. I'm saying whatever it is. It doesn't have to be. And
for the record,
if you didn't come across as so sultry right now when you just said that, I'm like, all right, we're not talking about Star Wars.
Wait a minute. For the record,
we're not talking about. These are not the episodes you're looking for.
No, for the record, the Star Wars episode. The Star Wars episode did very well.
Yes, I will have you know. Yes, but just not to put too fine a point on it, Sheila. I'm just saying, every time you come on, it doesn't have to be about your, recovery and stuff. It could just be about like whatever we're doing. You're welcome to come on.
And your dog.
Anytime. Yeah. Anytime you find something interesting that you want to join us on.
Yes, sir.
I think that.
Yes, I was thinking that too. I think
I would
Sheila,
like to.
It's been great.
We ought to bring Jason Vorderbeck on, and he can do it. We just have to let his probation officer know. He was
nice.
The Hill Mills in Florida. And he's trying to write his own. I'm doing some writing for him.
That'd be interesting.
Well,
yeah,
cool.
He was in the book American Pain, and he's getting ready to get a movie series.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Wow.
He wasn't addicted to drugs. He was addicted to the lifestyle, and he's trying to bring down Big Pharma, and I'm trying to help him. I mean, I'm writing this for him, but
get him in contact with us.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
We should do. Yeah, we're probably going to be doing a Big Pharma episode at some point if we haven't already.
We need to. Yeah.
We kind of did a little bit of it during the episode, but
guys, I hate to say it, but I know we've been on for a while now, and it's probably time to wrap things up.
Yeah. Sheila,
wrap it up.
can we stop it?